the electric A4. Let's just say I've been through hell and back with this thing for the last 2 days. Put everything back together, I couldn't get it started. It would crank and crank and crank and crank, and it didn't have compression. Normal, the car sat for 3 years. Lifters collapsed, new rings, honed cylinders. Sure, it's going to take a bit, but the only thing you can do is keep cranking and cranking and cranking, and it for some reason it just cranked slow. And then I gave it more juice and jump box and batteries, bought a new battery. Still no dice. Last night I cranked it so much that smoke started coming out of the what I thought was the starter. It was actually the starter cable. Look at this. This crimp, I'm assuming moisture gets in there and starts corroding or whatnot, but this crimp melted all the plastic around it, and the see, the strands are all burned out and broken. Obviously it was a pain in the ass, but I'm kind of glad that it did happen. Oh, look at that. That's a thicker gauge wire there and a thinner gauge wire there. So up to the crimp, it's a thick wire, and it goes to the starter. From the crimp, past the crimp, it actually goes to the alternator where it hooks up with the thinner gauge wire. So that is actually a junction, a crimp that's thicker than this one. So thick, crimp, skinny, alternator. Guess what? That thing gave me a hell of a time. Long story short, I ended up putting a new starter in it, which is that bronze looking thing down there. That's a hose insulating my new starter cable that I ran through there. The one duct tape is the old one. I figured it's easier if I just cut it and leave it there than removing it. So, which it was. Goes through there, goes through there, into this plastic thingy. Around here, yes, Audi positive cables are black. Down in here and into this junction box. I put zip ties just so curious minds don't go in there, but it's completely fine. I'll post pictures of it. Anyway, and now my alternator cable goes from the back of the alternator. I have it labeled as a plus. Back of the engine, it's just as thick as the starter cable, 4 gauge. Through a hose so it doesn't rub onto the firewall with the clamp so it doesn't go in and out, and then into the junction box. So with all that, look at that. It's alive. Yeah, it's got lights on, but half of the car is disconnected. It's running very smooth. There it is.